Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a deeply poetic text that actually maps out one of the most profound biographies in human history. We're talking about the epic spiritual journey of the Buddha. We're going to explore this unbelievable transformation, from a royal prince who literally had everything, to an awakened being who discovered the ultimate truth. We'll be tracing this map of spiritual liberation through 5 key stages, leaving worldly happiness, going through extreme asceticism, discovering the bright path, ending the universe's cycle, and finally compassionately guiding all beings. Okay, let's look at these opening lines. They set up this brilliantly poetic contrast right off the bat. A prince with boundless joy, leaving everything to enter the forest. Just think about that for a second. Here's a guy who possessed every conceivable worldly comfort you could imagine, yet he trades the whole shebang for the dark, unpredictable shadows of the wild. It's a staggering psychological leap, right? And it's the foundation for absolutely everything that follows. So, stage 1, leaving worldly happiness. The source text reveals something really fascinating here. He wasn't just, bored with palace life. He was actively compelled by this deep, burning dream to search for true heaven, which, in this context, means ultimate spiritual liberation, or moksha. He didn't just take a weekend retreat, no. He completely abandoned all of his worldly possessions, stripping away his entire royal identity to seek out a truth that the material world just couldn't offer. You can see how the trajectory of his life shifts so radically. We start with the past, palace life, which was basically complete insulation from any kind of suffering. Then, boom, the turning point. Total physical and mental renunciation. And this propels him straight into the incredibly harsh reality of forest asceticism. I mean, we're talking about going from being treated literally like a god to sleeping in the dirt. Which brings us to section 2, extreme asceticism and starvation. Now, he didn't just go sit under a tree and meditate peacefully. He practiced grueling, punishing asceticism. Enduring severe starvation, his body withered away until he was basically just skin and bones. The text describes him suffering unimaginable agony. He was pushing human biology to the absolute brink on this, quote, cruel path. He was barely holding on to life, genuinely believing that punishing the flesh was the absolute only way to free the soul. But right here is where the story drastically shifts. Stage 3, discovering the bright path. The text draws this really stark contrast. On one side, you've got the cruel path, that extreme self-torture and near starvation we just talked about. Well, he suddenly realized this was a dead end. Destroying his body didn't liberate his mind at all. It honestly just added more suffering. And this profound realization caused him to pivot completely toward the bright path, what we now call the middle way. It's an awakening that perfectly avoids the extremes of both excessive luxury and severe self-punishment. Let's take a moment to really let this sink in, because this is absolutely crucial. It's the pivot of our entire narrative. The heavy, labored struggle, those literal years of starvation, they finally transform into this uplifting, resonant clarity. The ultimate realization is plain and simple. Extreme agony is not the true path to enlightenment. By choosing to nourish his body just enough to sustain clear thought, he finally got his mind ready for the ultimate breakthrough. Moving into stage 4, ending the universe's samsara. This highly poetic lyric from our source text grounds us in some immense philosophical weight. When the text talks about, quote, stopping the cycle of the universe, it's specifically referring to samsara. If you're not familiar, this is the ancient concept of the endless, repeating cycle of birth, suffering, death, and rebirth. It's kind of like being stuck on a cosmic hamster wheel for all of eternity. So achieving enlightenment wasn't just about feeling peaceful inside, it was the act of literally breaking that wheel. It's achieving ultimate liberation and stepping off that repeating cycle of the universe once and for all. He discovered the end of the cycle of the universe. The source text deliberately repeats this phrase over and over, almost like a celebratory heartbeat. It really underscores the sheer magnitude of what happened. He didn't just come up with a nice philosophy for daily living, he discovered the fundamental exit strategy for the cosmos itself. How incredible is that? But, this naturally brings up a massive, really fascinating question. When ultimate peace is finally found, and the worldly realm is completely transcended, what on earth is left for the awakened one to do? Think about it. After you've broken the cycle, beaten the ultimate game of life, and found pure nirvana, why not just leave the world behind entirely? Why stick around? The answer to that leads us right into the 5th, and I think perhaps the most beautiful phase, compassionately guiding all beings. So he achieved perfect enlightenment, but actively chose not to abandon the world. The text heavily emphasizes his profound mercy for humanity. Having survived that cruel path himself, the Buddha chose to look back at the many souls who were still completely lost in the dark of samsara. He transformed from being this lone, isolated seeker into the ultimate teacher, becoming a guiding light for everyone else who was still wandering. And that brings us to the closing refrain of the text, the Buddha, the true bright path. Through an absolutely extraordinary journey, from a palace of boundless joy, through a starving, unforgiving forest, to the cosmic breaking of samsara, and finally to a state of profound teaching mercy, he mapped out a route for all of humanity. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this one thought. Amidst the endless, noisy cycles of our own modern universe, where are you looking to find your true bright path?